And Joe, thank you very much for being here with us. We appreciate you coming on the program, sir. Are you there?
I'm here. Can
Hey,
you hear
Joe.
me?
Hey, Joe.
Joe,
Hey, I enjoyed listening to that about the air gun range.
I know.
I bet.
It was cool.
Have instructors like that.
It's awesome, and I'll tell you, and so many ways, Joe. This is my favorite time of the year. And here's another thing, because one of my favorite stories is the story of the Daisy Red Ryder BB gun, and we saw the story and we immediately thought of getting you. This is out of Chicago Tribune about you'll shoot your eye out 70 years and counting for the iconic toy of a Christmas story, the Daisy Red Ryder BB gun, still a big draw during the holidays, and why not? It's gosh. What good red-blooded young American boy has not either had one of these or wanted one of these, Joe?
Well, I read that article, and I thought that, the reporter really caught on to something there, that it is a multi-generational thing. Haven't been made for 70 years now. There's several generations that have grown up with the Red Ryder. And, one of the hard questions he asked me is, for what reasons do people buy this? And I said, well, there's obviously training and getting somebody starting in the shooting sports, but a lot of times it's a father or a grandfather or a grandmother or a mother just wanting their child to have the same wonderful experience they had when they were a kid.
Absolutely, and it's that mentoring, Joe. It's a sense of passing on something from generation to generation, passing on not only a firearm or a BB gun or a thing, but it's passing on a tradition, whether you hunt or shoot or whatever. I mean, that is as old as this country is itself.
Oh, true. It's very part of our heritage in America to do that. And you mentioned passing on the tradition. That's a big thing. I mean, that's why the product is really larger than life, and why people want to pass that down from one generation to the next. And we hear from people all the time. We get what we call fan mail from folks all the time, and they'll send in a picture of them and their 10 grandchildren, all with a Red Ryder BB gun. So.
I love it.
It's one of the things that drives me crazy, though, Joe. In this article talks about the notion that buying guns, even ones that are considered toys, is a delicate topic these days, which for reasons that escape me, I couldn't tell you why it's a delicate topic. But it was interesting because in this article, there was the picture of Santa at Bass Pro Shops showing this child how to shoot a gun. Now, you recently had this story in Northern California where at a tree lot there was a gigantic wooden Santa. For 20 years, this wooden Santa had a holster. It was like Western Santa. But all of a sudden, one woman sees this holstered Santa and goes crazy, and it makes the tree lot owner cover the gun. After 20 years. And the hatred of guns, the hatred of, Santa and a gun, oh, forget it. Forget it. We've lost our minds having Santa had anything to do with guns. But the hatred of guns and the indoctrination that kids get against guns, and guns are bad, and the parents are so anti-gun, you really do have your work cut out for you. Where back in the day when Daisy first started out, this was a much easier chore. So you, as someone so involved in the marketing and the sales of these products, how do you do it? I mean, how do you get the word out, and how do you get people to stop demonizing these very valuable instruments?
Yeah. Well, in that article, it was said something like the company acknowledges. What was it? The company acknowledges something that gun awareness has hurt sales. Now, I'm not sure what gun awareness is. Obviously,
isn't everyone aware of guns?
Yeah, I would like to be aware of guns.
Right.
We all are. So I'm not sure what exactly that term means. Maybe there's some spin there I didn't get.
No, just a little spin. I like when reporters make up a term and then apply their own meaning to it. Gun awareness has hurt sales.
Right.
What? Well,
Right. And his real question was, has any of the anti-gun sentiment hurt sales? And I said, well, we don't try to sell guns to everybody. We try to sell guns to people who believe in the right to bear arms and to have firearms and enjoy the shooting sports and enjoy hunting, want to pass that tradition down to their children, to the next generation. That's our customer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The person who says, I don't want a firearm in their house, I personally respect their decision. I don't agree with their decision. I'd like to spend a lot of time talking to them. But as far as selling them a Daisy Red Ryder, it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
And that was my comment to him, was I said there are urban areas of the country that have made it impossible to buy a BB gun or a high-powered pellet rifle in the city of Chicago where he lives. And I said, so we're not spending a whole lot of time trying to sell those people pellet rifles.
Well, it's gotten so crazy. I'm looking in the Providence, Rhode Island today article, Disarming the Toy Box. Providence program destroys children's toy guns. And there's a picture of a young girl putting a plastic gun in what looks like a monster's mouth, and it's supposed to shred up these toy guns. The demonization is just, it's out of control for me.
Well, it is, and I'll tell you, I think one of the most meaningful conversations I had with a parent, the unusual thing was it took place at an organized class where they were going to teach gun safety, marksmanship skills, and there was a mother there with her daughter. And she was standing by kind of shaking her head, and I went up and I talked to her and I introduced myself. And she says, I just don't know if I'm doing the right thing. My daughter wanted to come here, and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And, of course, I pried into why, and she said, we don't have guns in our house. I'm afraid of guns, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, well, let me do an analogy for you here. I said, my wife and I have sworn that we would never own a swimming pool. We think they're a major hassle. They take up too much space in the backyard, whatever. But we put our daughter in a first Red Cross swimming class when she was 3 years old. We don't own a pool, but at some point she's going to go to her friend's house, and they're going to say, let's all jump in the pool. And she's going to go to the bottom like a rock. Your daughter's going to go to somebody's house, and her little friend's going to bring out her father's pistol and say, let's play with this. And your daughter's going to be smart enough to say, no, let's ground that right here on the table of the bed. Let's go get your dad, and if he wants to show it to us, he can. And I said, that at least that level of understanding of gun safety needs to be part of every parent bringing up every child.
Joe Murphy from Daisy Outdoor Products. Now, Joe, I forget which one of the industry trade shows we always see your booth, and a very impressive part of your booth is these amazing pictures of these Boy Scouts. And I think, from what I understand, recollect, you're the official supplier of certain of these guns to the Boy Scouts. Now, you have to know about these stories. You have to hear about the kids coming out of this, and everyone hear anecdotally, and you hear all these people say that marksmanship leads to smarter students, leads to more aware students. Of course, we need to train the next generation of marksmen for military service. Tell us the experience you have with these elite Boy Scouts.
Well, I don't know directly with the Boy Scouts. I'm not so sure that I have a real direct story to tell you there. I could tell you hundreds of stories, and I think we have a few little videos on Daisy.com where we talk about people who were in a BB gun program, learning how to shoot a BB gun at 5 meters and learning all the safety rules, say 30 years ago, and today they'll tell you voluntarily that program made a big difference in my life. It's made me a better employee. It's made me a better manager of people. It's made me a better spouse. It made me a better student when I was a kid. And those things are easy to prove. There's something about the shooting sports that teaches discipline and patience and self-control. And I always tell people those are things that you as a parent want to teach your children, but you don't know where to go get the book. And it's just not in a book somewhere. But if you will get your child involved in a shooting class, they learn all of those life lessons, and they pick up all of those character traits that you want them to have, but you don't know how to tell them about it. How do you tell somebody? How do you teach patience and self-control? A shooting program seems to work. So there's so many more things they learn than how to punch a hole in a piece of paper.
Right. Absolutely.
And the fun thing is, if you talk to an accomplished hunter or an accomplished marksman or somebody who's been in the service and excelled and has marksmanship medals, or a gold medalist at the Olympics in any shooting discipline, and you say, how'd you get involved in this? Where did you start? They'll tell you, I was on a Daisy 5-meter BB gun team when I was 8 or 10 years old, and that's how I took my first shot, and it stuck with me, and I grew in the sport. But the most important things I learned back then at the beginning, the things that really shaped me and shaped my career.
Now, of course, every year the TBS shows A Christmas Story like 11 times. It's 24 hours of A Christmas Story. How many times can you sit through that?
I think it's required watching for all Daisy and Glory.
Absolutely,
right?
as it should be.
What do you think the record is? Has anyone watched all 24 hours?
I don't know. I think that could be very damaging.
Has anyone watched 24 Hours with their tongue frozen to that pole?
That's right. Little Ralphie.
Well, what makes that movie so great is if we're not careful, we'll all believe that we've done most of the things in that movie, or that because there's just a little bit of Ralphie in every one of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's some things in that movie that are very funny, and they're very funny because a lot of us grew up that way.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, thank you so much for being with us. And you know what, Cameron, you're talking about that anti-gun kind of craziness. Well, you know what? This is the reality here. Is how many years? 70 years of the Daisy Red Ryder BB gun.
There's nothing more wholesome in this country, I think, than the Daisy Red Ryder.
And Joe, how many people have gotten started? As I was saying earlier to Cameron, I have two brothers. One who's Secret Service, one who's a police officer, and he's the training officer. And they all started out running around in the backyard with a Daisy BB gun because you know what, and they're both expert shots. So it's you know what that is
That's
as
where it all starts, isn't it?
Yeah, and that is as bedrock to our like I said, our shooting sports and firearms is a Daisy, not only Red Ryder, but just a BB gun and air gun like that because it's such an important thing, and we're so glad that you're there, Joe. To continue on the great work that Daisy has done for so many years.
We wish everybody a safe and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, and thanks for being with us tonight.